everyone, I'm Bethlehem Artfield. Welcome to the podcast Journey to Ethiopia with a Story. Today's story is about two childhood friends' reunion in a foreign country. They delight in reminiscing about old memories and catching up about what happened in their lives since they parted. Let's take a journey with What Is in a Name, a story written in English by me. Ever since I received an email from my old friend Lila about her intentions to come to Dar es Salaam, childhood memories keep haunting me. I'm cutting fruit for breakfast while listening to the radio. Suddenly, I'm reminded of how I used to dance along to the tune that announced the TV news as a child. One evening, as I danced to this tune, my father was sitting on the couch behind me, looking relaxed, a bottle of beer in hand. The fact that I hadn't seen the Emperor on TV news for some time was bothering me. I wanted to ask my father about this. I softly called out, "Baba?" I noticed that he was intently watching the news and that he didn't hear me. I put my voice higher and called, "Baba, yeah?" He absently murmured. "Where is our Baba Janhoy gone? I miss seeing him on TV." My father's full lips stretched into an amused smile as he gathered me up and affectionately put me on his lap. I heard my mother chortle from the bedroom where she was feeding the baby and muse, "Ay, anywhere." She sometimes called me that. "Oh, my treasure." I smiled back hesitantly. I like hearing my mama laugh, but not at my expense. I especially loved her loud ripple of a laughter that rings out when she is with her friends. Although it's kind of a rare phenomenon around the house. Even neighbors or passers-by on the street can hear that laughter, and it never fails to bring a smile to whoever happens to hear it. I noted with dismay that I didn't get any reply to my question. I grew up admiring the charm of words and the dignity of imperial poise from a young age. This was not from the Disney characters or stories, but a glimpse of a real-life emperor's grace and splendor before he was deposed. A Papa Janhoy was the way children around the country addressed him. It meant our imperial father. "Mama, please teach me how to be proud," I used to implore repeatedly. I guess in my limited vocabulary at that time, proud was the closest thing I could think of when I saw the way he talked and carried himself. I wanted to imitate the magnificence of the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering Lion of Judah. My parents were amused. They found the way that I held my head high and floated with my ever-light walk entertaining. Lila often ridiculed me for being a daydreamer, but I didn't mind that. It hurt when my parents did that. Lila's family lived in a small house next door to ours. I often played with her and her brother Noor. We played hopscotch and dodgeball, but jumping rope was our favorite. We were totally fascinated with Lila's old rope as we played a variety of games with it and put several challenges for ourselves. A particular memory of Lila doing a freestyle jump over a rope suddenly comes to mind. "Hold it at your shoulder's height," Lila instructed us. "Not so loose, come on, stretch it until it's taut," she shouted as she walked away backwards. Both Noor and I stepped back to stretch the rope. 1, 2, 3, she counted under her breath, and briskly ran towards the rope and lifted her right leg high over the rope, followed by the left leg, which didn't rise as high. I saw Noor loosening his grip of the rope a bit so she wouldn't trip with her left leg. As soon as she landed at the other side, Lila turned around. Noor had quickly stretched back the rope by then. "Okay, you did it," he dramatically clapped. "I'm going off to play with the boys now," he said and walked away. "Lila, do you know what your name means?" I asked as I gathered the rope. It means night. I was born at midnight. I don't know why my parents thought it was so significant to the point of naming me so, she replied. At least it has something to do with the time of your birth. I wonder what my grandmother was thinking when she named me Agare, my homeland. Lila had that mischievous smile creeping up her face. I knew she was going to say something mean. Maybe she looked at you as a baby and she was reminded of all the plain, ugly babies back in her hometown. She said and chuckled. No wonder your mama called you Night. You have darkness in you. I was far too timid to say it out loud. Instead, I squared my shoulders and pretended it was funny. In the email, Layla said she was invited by the organizers of the African Journalist Forum to receive an award for her work in promoting community journalism in Ethiopia. Although she was never as keen on poetry and literature as I was, Layla always knew how to cut to the chase with sharp, edgy words. I'm so excited to see her in about an hour. I hope she has outgrown her meanness and has learned to put her wit to good use. Well, she must be doing exactly that if she is here to receive such a prestigious award. Another vivid memory is the day Lila came to our house straight from school. She still had her school bag with her. She looked so glum. She picked up one of the English books from the table and started leafing through it. It had pictures of a happy-looking family at every page. I hate him, she whispered. I didn't expect that. Who? She pointed to the father figure in the picture. Your father? Why? He brought a strange boy to our house and told us that he is our brother. Oh, are you upset because your parents adopted a boy? Don't be daft. The boy is his bastard son. I was shocked. Children born out of wedlock are usually kept a secret. There must be a compelling reason for the father to bring the boy into his family home. I didn't want to say that to Layla, because I know my trying to reason out would make her more upset. So, instead I blurted out, "What's his name?" "Is that all you can think of? Names?" "I'm sorry, I just didn't know what to say." Well, none of us know what to say. My mother was so upset, but she didn't say anything. The least she could have done was leave. I packed a traveling bag for her and left it on her bed, but she is still here. Why would you want your mother to leave? I'd be so sad if my mother goes away. That's the point. My father would see how it hurts. Well, she said in a softer tone after a while, if you must know, the boy's name is Lowell. Lowell. Prince. Now, that's such a good name, I thought. He'll have to work out how to live up to his name. Will he grow to be the Prince of Valor, Prince of Peace, or Prince of Discord? Lila was easy to spot on the beach. We had arranged to meet there because it was right next to the hotel where she was staying. I can see only her back as she is facing the sea. Her voluminous hair is cascading over her shoulders. She stretched her slender arms for a brief moment and then hugged herself. "Lila," I called out as I walked towards her. "It is so good to see you after all these years," I said as we hugged. "You look good. Married life suits you," she said, inspecting me. "I always thought I would be the first one to marry, not you." I thought the same, and I never imagined I would marry a foreigner. Fate can be deceiving. It may seem to start in one direction, but ends in another. She nodded in agreement as her gaze shifted back along the Indian Ocean to the horizon. "You seem to be mesmerized by the sea," I commented. "Yes, I can't take my eyes off it. I'm surprised that my first viewing of the sea is so momentous. I feel like my soul is being lifted into a different plane. It's so peaceful. Having never been keen on religion before, I'm actually baffled that the sea could possibly evoke a glimpse of a spiritual realm. I'm dumbfounded by Lila's change. She was never the contemplative type, or, if she was, she kept her reflections to herself. After a brief silence, I agreed with her. Yes, you're right. I was also awestruck when I first saw the sea. Well, coming from a landlocked country, I guess no words or pictures can quite capture its marvel until you see it. The changing tides were a mystery to me. When my husband explained that the sea level goes high or low depending on the gravitational forces of the moon, I thought he was joking. Lila threw her head back and guffawed. You must have been daydreaming as usual during your geography lessons. What curious creatures, she exclaimed, pointing to the hermit crabs running as fast as their clothes could take them to dodge the waves. They remind me of my own escapade from a possible incarceration. Freedom, what a beautiful feeling. She closed her eyes and threw her head back. Hang on, Lila, I'm completely lost. What happened to you? Start from the very beginning. Right, let's go for a walk along the beach and I'll tell you all about it. Although I have always been proud of who I am as a person, I sometimes felt that our culture was a repressive burden. So unlike my ancestors and my parents who hold their history, religion, and culture as a pillar of their lives, I essentially refused to be similarly rooted. I believed in change, movement, and in fluidity. As you recall, my mother and her friends smack their lips one too many times and declare with resolution, God will not give you beyond what you can bear. Bullshit, I thought every time they said that. I could see their shoulders bend from their cultural burdens. Why on earth didn't they shrug off their loads and walk away, move, run free? That is why I urged my mother to leave when my father brought his bastard son home. As she said this, the corner of her mouth turned into that mischievous smile I know so well. I looked at her in askance. Well, ironically, it's the same half-brother I held in contempt when we were young that saved my life. Like you said earlier, fate is weird. I could feel my eyes getting bigger with astonishment. Tell me, I urged. Well, it all started when my feminist column at the university students' newspaper gained so much momentum. The secret police were intrigued by the huge following I had, and they started following me. For them, anyone who could mobilize people, even when it had nothing to do with politics, is a threat. They took me for questioning once, and I naively explained to them I was encouraging girls to question the patriarchal cultural norms that put them at a disadvantage in society. They told me to stop writing my articles. They claimed I was personally putting my fellow students at a disadvantage by distracting them from their studies. When I wrote an article about this encounter, they detained me for a week. Oh no, Lila, I cried in horror. Yep, that is when I realized how easy it is to break a human spirit. Yet, you are here to receive continental recognition for outstanding contributions to journalism. How did that happen? You know how women talk about how they forget the pain of childbirth and that they get pregnant over and over again? Yeah? Are you telling me that a broken spirit mends until it's broken again? Precisely. Only this time I got away before they came to break me. How? That's where my half-brother came to the rescue. His girlfriend works as a secretary in the Ministry of Defense. She heard through the grapevine that an order has gone out to stop me from mobilizing people ever again. She told Lil that my life was in danger. That boy's network skills and ability to solve problems never ceases to amaze me. To cut a long story short, he went to the Tanzanian embassy and expedited my visa so I could leave a week before the forum started. So I managed to avoid getting arrested and God knows whatever else they had in mind. As you can imagine, I have no intention of going back there as long as these guys are in power. "Oh my God," I exclaimed. "I'm so happy you escaped, Lila. What will you do when the forum ends?" The organizers offered me a scholarship when they heard of my plight. "That's amazing! Congratulations!" So Lul has decided to step up to his name and become Prince of Valor. "I see you're still obsessed about names," she said teasingly. I nodded my head with a giggle. Later, over lunch in a cozy cafe across from the beach, Layla asked, "Have you worked out why your mother called you Agare?" I think I did. I came across a poem, Agare, by Gabriel Christos Desta, and it kind of gave me an idea of why my mother named me so. You see, for this poet, the homeland was simply the best of God's creation. Beautiful in landscape, a place of abundant provisions, a land of sovereignty and freedom. He even compared it to a badge of honor, an altar, and a sanctuary, a land where for centuries his ancestors had lived and were buried in. Are we talking about the same homeland I just flee from by the skin of my teeth? The very same. It's surreal, I know. But would it be any sweeter by any other name? Layla screwed her face, trying to follow my thread. "Ah, I see what you mean. Juliet may have thought she couldn't live without her Romeo. But believe me, I can happily live outside of my homeland." I'm sure you can, as I have. But we may grow bitter knowing that we were supposed to preserve this ideal homeland instead of abandoning it to the tyrants to destroy until, well, it's unrecognizable. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to listen to more stories as soon as they are released, please subscribe to this channel. If you are interested to listen to the poem that was mentioned in the story, please look for the translated version, My Homeland, read out in this channel. We would like to encourage those who are artistically inclined to send us drawings or pictures that came to your mind while listening to this story. Send a line to us describing the image and we'll post it on the episode notes section of this podcast. Until the next story, goodbye.